Lee Cooper here with Module 5, Barriers to Using Web 2.0, AEP 800. So, it's a quick summary of the articles. The first article, Barriers to Using Web 2.0 in 21st Century Schools. So we actually do have great access to internet infrastructure. We have one-on-one Chromebooks. Teachers use smartboards. We also have a few classrooms that are set up with Airtame. So we do have a pretty good amount of technology for teachers and for students. We use technology regularly and widely. So we use that through our normed assessments. So that is through ANET that we take it on with mathematics, but it's through different ways in science and English, those kinds of things. But it's all normed for our 11 schools in the network to where everybody's taking the same assessments and looking at the same data. Then the other thing is that it's also a way that we track behavior. Last kind of part here at the bottom. So the thing that we kind of lack is programs that can advance and expose students' understanding of technology. So things like coding classes, those kinds of things that are kind of advancing their ability to use computers in a productive manner. Okay, so another summary of the articles, 7 common barriers. We do lack a vision when it comes to actual technological use. We do lack project-based learning, which is going to be something that I think is going to be really needed in order to really utilize technology well in future classrooms. We also have low-income students, so there's some lower exposure to the use of technology. And but we are well-funded as far as technology goes, and we do have highly motivated teachers that want to innovate and try new things. We have all online curriculum. We have a strong infrastructure, as I mentioned, and just the comments on Colorado in general. In rural areas that there's not strong infrastructure for internet, that's something that they are trying to debate about and are hoping that they can grow that infrastructure. That's something that's kind of in debate in the 2018 legislative session. Okay, last summary of the article is the open sources. So for my curriculum, I use Engage New York or Eureka Math for the 6th grade math curriculum that I teach. So it is an online open resource curriculum. And anything else that I do in the class is supplementary curriculum is also open resource, such as IXL or Khan Academy. And throughout the school, we don't have any textbooks. Just the only books that we have that are physical books would be literature books for English. Okay, so do I feel the digital divide can be resolved? So I think yes. I think that as it stands, that we can definitely build the infrastructure in rural areas. We can definitely put more technology in the classrooms. And I think that we can continue to make steps towards kind of filling this digital divide. But I also am kind of saying no, because there's always going to be someone that's further ahead if you are behind. That's kind of how I was viewing that. And that it's going to take a lot to catch up, but as you are trying to catch up, the other party is still moving forward, so it's very difficult. So I think the divide only moves, it doesn't necessarily get resolved. Okay, so what skill sets do you feel 21st century students must acquire prior to graduation? Something that I was able to learn in that Horizon 2017 Horizon report was the idea of computational thinking. It's something I hadn't heard before, but it's something that I definitely believe in as a math teacher. I just had never heard it in that kind of terminology. But yeah, problem solving skills, absolutely. Exposure to coding literacy, I think that that's something that students are going to need to see more of, and like being able to think like a computer. It's just something that not a lot of our students are surely exposed to unless they're in like an advanced achievement block, those kinds of things. Again, collaboration, creativity, and communication, those are huge. And then kind of the biggest one for me is actually responsibility. So ensuring that we are teaching students how to use this technology properly, and teaching them that responsibility matters, not just in use with technology, but in general in life. Like, I think we really need to have a big push for more responsibility. Okay, so what impact has the global economy had on your personal use of the internet? I think in general, just affordability and access. I mean, I can afford a computer, a cell phone, I can afford a plan, those kinds of things. And, through this global economy, I can afford to have access to the internet. I also spend a lot of my time in gathering information through podcasts, YouTube videos, those kinds of things, articles, and gaining more information throughout the internet. Obviously connecting. So whether that's through any kind of social media, whether that is in a more professional setting, but definitely connecting online. And then I just put life online because, I can't really think of ways in which, it's hard to think of ways in which the internet doesn't have an influence on your day, and how, even if I want to go get something to eat, I'm going to probably look up where's a good place to go eat, what are the reviews like, those kinds of things, and I'm using the internet to access that. Last part would be employment. So if I'm ever thinking, once I am going to be finding a administrative position, I'm going to be using the internet to be able to find that position. Oh, I gotta remember to get my pictures in. Okay, what technology training do you still need to effectively integrate technology in your current position? So a big one for this, I think, is how to teach project-based mathematics. So giving students kind of an open problem set where they can then explore technological tools in order to be successful in the project. But I don't really have a whole lot of experience or knowledge in the best practices and how to teach project-based mathematics. And also, just as I noted here too, autonomy and the demands are also a real issue. So we have a lot of normed expectations for our network of schools. We all kind of are expected to teach the same things. We take the same assessments at the same time. So there's not a whole lot of room in order to grow and do different things, in order to kind of be able to integrate technology in more creative ways. I think that it kind of is stifling our ability to do that in a lot of ways. And then I think the last part is like what's out there and what works. I think that there's a ton of technology, but it's a lot of things to sort through. There's a lot of really good apps and there's a lot of really bad apps, and there's like constantly more and more things that are coming out. So kind of keeping up to date, what's out there, what works, I think that's going to be a big part of how I can integrate technology effectively. Is your school or district equipped with 21st century technology? I would say yes in many ways. We are one-to-one Chromebooks. We do have like smart boards, and we also have a really strong internet infrastructure and a bandwidth that is large enough to be able to carry the amount of people that are using the internet throughout the day, whether that's teachers or students. So we have a lot of good things going for us in that regard. I would also say no, though, in terms of, are we being project-based? Are we providing students with authentic learning experiences and being able to build things, be very hands-on, have more like industrial type experiences and learning? We just don't really have a whole lot of that. And then I also say, like, as far as developing technology, after reading again that Horizon report and reading through some of the developing technology, it was talking about things like robotics and AI and automation, those kinds of things. And I think that we have a long way as a school and like more as a educational systems in general in order to get to that point. Considering that we really only have a handful of students, maybe about 20 students in our entire school that get any kind of exposure to coding, and that's just because they're advanced students that they have the availability in their schedule in order to get that learning. Okay, so what are the advantages of innovative practices in schools? So 21st century learners, I think, are going to be then creating these 21st century employees. So I think, about things like Google and their project-based workspaces and those kinds of things, which obviously that's kind of like, I would say, an extreme example of a 21st century workplace. But I think that, right, is the same kind of lines that we are teaching students how to thrive in a technological workplace. So, yep, an ever-evolving workplace, meaningful and memorable. So if we can make it to where we have innovative practices in schools and students are really enjoying the learning that they're having, hopefully then we can create lifelong learning for those students, because they can look back and they can see school as a meaningful and memorable experience, and they want to continue on with that. Again, just better outcomes in general for our students. If we can have innovative practices, our students can then learn better. They can, have the skills in math, the skills in learn and reading, those kinds of things, and actually, gain knowledge. So better outcomes in that regard. And of course, like long-term benefits. So the students of the day are going to be the workforce of tomorrow. And so, that includes lifting people out of suffering and poverty. So whether that's things like 3D printing and, advances to where maybe someday we're going to be having 3D printed organs, those kinds of things. I also think about the energy crisis and how that can be ever evolving, and the innovative ways that we can see future energy. Sorry. Okay, so what disadvantages do you see? I would just say for my students, the biggest thing is I would think about like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Some of our students, and a good portion of our students, are not getting their basics, physiological needs, safety needs, love and belonging needs. And I think that really, when it comes down to it, this project-based learning and this push for technology, those kinds of things, it really comes only at the self-actualization point. And a lot of our students just simply aren't there when it comes to this hierarchy of needs. So I think that kind of moving forward then with that, it adds to that digital divide. Are they getting the exposure? Is that really something that they're really getting access to, and are they gaining from? And I just don't see a lot of that with a good number of our students. Also, what is the telos? So that means where is it that we're headed with technology? What is the end goal for humanity and technology? What is it that we're trying to get to? I don't know if that's very clear. I think that we're trying to, again, maybe improve our medical systems. We're trying to improve our energy systems, those kinds of things, but I don't think it's very clear exactly where we're headed to, and that might be a bad thing for us. Last part is the unforeseen consequences. So if you've ever been to Netflix and watched a Black Mirror episode, you can choose any one of those and kind of see what kind of unforeseen consequences they would explore there, and just the morality that comes with these new technologies. Okay, so last part here, have you experienced problems with cyberbullying or other inappropriate use with students? The answer is definitely yes. So I have seen bullying on things like Google Docs, where students will have a Google Doc and then they can share it back and forth, and they can have like gossipy conversations, those kinds of things. On the bright side of that, I also saw some solutions come forward from Google as well, where we were having bullying in our advisory, both like in person as well as online. And we were able to use a reporting, kind of like a Google form that then prints out to a Google Sheet, to where we could, students could report things that were going on. And it's been pretty effective for us to be able to gather information and to help to try to nip those bullying incidents in the bud. So other things, playing games, just being on things that they're not supposed to be on. I've of course seen that happens all the time. And also illegal content, so students that are watching pirated videos or on illegal streaming sites, those kinds of things, that definitely happens. And it doesn't really help to just block the sites, because if you've ever heard of like 1, 2, 3 movies, you block that site, and then the next day there's 1, 2, 3, 4 movies. So it doesn't really help to block those sites because they continually pop up. So I think for the biggest thing is, with the great access that our students have, we need to push we need to push the need for responsibility. We need to really teach that responsibility. So I don't think I can stress that enough. I think that's something that I really learned just even from the little bit that I've been in this course. And to be super honest, I have seen students that are accessing content that they should not be, right? 18 plus content, and happen to have a pretty awful experience for me and the student last year, when I happened to catch a student that was in a classroom by himself looking at a computer, and you can fill in the rest from there. So yeah, definitely seen that, and I definitely think that there's issues that are there, and we really, again, need to push the importance of responsibility and push the importance of are you using this technology correctly, and having appropriate consequences when students are not. So well, thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoyed.